Hello and welcome to our Nigerian viewers and viewers across the world. This is Galaxy TV News. Let's check out what's in the pipeline for you at this time. President Muhammadu Buhari sacks Agriculture Minister Mohammed Sabo Nanunu alongside Minister of Power, Engineer Salim Aman. Plus on the news, Senate indicts Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC and the Central Bank of Nigeria as biggest defaulters in non-remittance of revenue. And outside Nigeria, U.S. Supreme Court prohibits a law in Texas banning abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. We will tell you more and details in just a moment. Now, wherever you're watching from around the world, we are live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. I am Kelly Egiga. On our first story, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the reshuffle in the cabinet formed on August 21, 2019. In a statement to the cabinet members during the Federal Executive Council FEC meeting on Wednesday, through Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President, Femi Adesina, the President announced that Mohammed Sabo Nanunu, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, and Engineer Salim Aman, Minister of Power, were leaving the cabinet. In the same vein, Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, Minister of Environment, was redeployed to assume office as the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, while Engineer Abubakar Aliyu, Minister of State for Works and Housing, will now be Minister of Power. The President said the changes were sequel to the tradition of subjecting government project and programs implementation to independent and critical self-review through sector reporting during cabinet meetings and retreats.
A statement to cabinet members by Mr. President on the reshuffle of Federal Executive Council on Wednesday, 1st September 2021. On Wednesday, 21st August 2019, the current Federal Executive Council was sworn in after a rigorous retreat to bring returning and new members up to speed on the accomplishments, challenges, and lessons drawn from my first term in office, and to emphasize the 9 priority areas of government for the second term. 2 years and some months into the second term, the tradition of subjecting our projects and programs implementation to independent and critical self-review has taken firm roots through sector reporting during cabinet meetings and at retreats.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari Wednesday in Abuja charged the new board of the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority to make more investment that support economic diversification as global oil prices are projected to drop to around $40 per barrel by 2030. Inaugurating the third board of the NSIA, the President reaffirmed his administration's commitment to implementing long-term projects and programs that will create jobs for Nigerians. Our correspondent in Nabuchi, Oke Nabuchi, filed in this report.
President Muhammadu Buhari noted that the full impact of most of the strategic projects started under his watch will only be felt long after he had left office, just as he described the appointment of the 9-man board as a call to duty, action, and performance. Stating that his government operates on the agenda for long-term change, which he said is inevitable, the President urged the board to continue to drive the performance of the authority to deliver benefits to all Nigerians. He also asked them to bear in mind that the National Economic Council and Nigerians will hold them accountable for the mandate, particularly when they would be asked to provide evidence of their stewardship at the Governing Council meetings, where their performance will be assessed.
Economic institutions, I acknowledge the commitment, dedication, and contributions of the last board of directors, whose tenure ended May 2021. This distinguished group of patriotic Nigerians heeded the call to serve and deployed the best of their abilities to oversee the affairs of the authority on behalf of the nation over the last 4 years.
The president also used the occasion to thank the last board of directors whose tenure ended in May 2021, acknowledging their commitment, dedication, and contributions to the implementation of the objectives of the authority. In her remarks, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said from the base position of $1 billion when the administration assumed office in 2015, NSIA now has around $3.5 billion in assets under the management. She explained that the board will, on behalf of the Nigerian people, guide and oversee the NSIA management activities towards delivering outcomes to transform the fortunes of the country.
Through the Future Generation Funds and the strategic support of the economy in times of stress through the Stabilization Fund. With these clear mandates, the entity commenced operations and has been profitable and impactful since then. Since its establishment, the NSIA has had 2 tenured boards. At the expiration of the last board's tenure, we constituted an independent executive nominations committee which embarked on a search for eminently qualified and seasoned professionals across both the private and the public sectors in line with the requirements of the NSIA Act.
The previous board has set a very high bar. Some of the impactful projects that are being executed still need to be completed. We are also well aware of the funding challenges that the government is facing. And so our plan is to ensure that we continue to push forward the projects that the previous board, under the guidance and directives of Mr. President, complete in a very economical and efficient manner.
The minister said, using the NSIA Act as its guide, the board will be required to take initiatives that meet the current and future needs of Nigerians. The new board members are Farouk Mohammed Gumer, Northwest, as non-executive chairman, Sir Babatunde Shobamawo, Southwest, non-executive director, and Mr. Isekawa Ikemefuna Lois, South-South, non-executive director. Other members of the board include Ali Kuni Kadugum, Northeast, non-executive director, Oniyanke Kabir Suleiman, North Central, non-executive director, and Ike Chioke, Southeast, non-executive director.
In the meantime, the Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved a total of 89 billion naira worth of contracts for award of contracts under the Ministry of Works and Housing, as well as aviation. The council also approved the draft national policy on internally displaced persons, IDPs, in Nigeria. Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, who briefed State House correspondent after the meeting, specified that FEC approved for his ministry contracts for the dualization of the Odukpani-Itu Ikodekpene Road at the cost of 79.649 billion naira. Special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, who briefed correspondent on behalf of the Minister of Aviation, Hadith Sirika, said the Ministry of Aviation brought the memo for the approval of the award of contracts for the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, Lagos, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano, and Katsina Airport in Katsina State. Meanwhile, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadiya Umar Farouk, on her part, said Council approved a memo for the approval of the draft national policy on IDPs in Nigeria.
The Ministry of Works and Housing presented a memorandum for the completion of the dualization of the Odukpani-Itu Ikotekpene Road. And this is in relation to the section from Okuiboku power plant to Mbak, and that's about a 26-kilometer stretch. Council approved the award to Mrs. Sematech Nigeria Limited for 79.649 billion. To be executed over 60 months.
Presented a memo for the approval of award of contracts at the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, Lagos, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano, and Katsina Airport in Katsina. For Lagos, it's for the expansion of terminal building at domestic Terminal, GAT, for the sum of 2,817,579,271.99.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development presented a memo for the approval of the draft national policy on internally displaced persons in Nigeria. And I must say that today is a great day for the ministry as well as for the government. This administration has reached another milestone.
Now, the policy will engender multi-sectoral structure that will ensure a coordinated operational and strategic response to all the humanitarian challenges the nation is facing, providing practical and actionable solutions that will resolve internal displacement in the country. Now, the Nigerian Senate has indicted the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and the Central Bank of Nigeria as biggest defaulters in the non-remittance of revenue to the country's coffers. This concern came to the fore Wednesday at the public hearing on the 2022-2024 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper, an event held at the Senate wing of the National Assembly. Galaxy's Godfrey Shemogi was there and tells us more.
Chairman of the Joint Senate Committee, Solomon Adeola, lamented that heads of revenue-generating agencies have changed them to their personal properties. He mentioned the state-run oil company, NNPC, and the CBN as the main culprits.
I can conveniently say that agency like NNPC, I don't know when last they contributed from their excess revenue into the Consolidated Revenue Fund, except recently when they declare profits. And I know that profit also will translate to payment into the CRF. The Central Bank of Nigeria, of an average budget of about 2.3 trillion naira a year, it is expected that at the end of every financial year, whatever accrues to you as excess revenue, certain portion of it must be paid into the Consolidated Revenue Fund. And as we speak, within the last 5-6 years, CBN has not contributed anything.
Director General, Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabweze, echoed the thoughts of Senator Adeola on revenue under remittances by key government agencies.
With effect from the 2022 budget, developed a new and harmonized budgeting system platform for all of these 63 to be able to submit their budget. Mr. Chairman, regrettably, as we speak, 26 of these 63 MDAs have not even nominated their, provided us with the names of their people who are to be, signed on to this system, accredited to, be able to, upload their budget. Some of them are even writing us and arguing that despite what the law says, that their own establishment act says that their board approves their budget.
On her part, Director General, Debt Management Office, Patience Oniha, said Nigeria's debt burden is fast becoming unsustainable.
The reality is that we don't have the capacity to keep borrowing if revenues are not growing. So we're saying let's begin to look at public-private partnerships in whatever form. We have some existing assets that can be concessioned, but really when we have projects, let's look at them from the perspective of public-private partnership. Let's begin to get some of those projects to generate revenues. So we were actually happy to see that there's now a tolling policy on roads. We need to do that. We don't have the capacity. We have a need to improve infrastructure.
The public hearing is by the Joint Senate Committees on Finance, National Planning, Foreign and Local Debts, Bank, Insurance, and other financial institutions, as well as that on petroleum and gas. Godfrey Shemogi, Galaxy News, Abuja.
The meantime, Senate President Ahmed Lawan has called on security agencies of the country to intensify investigations into the killers of Abdul Karim Na'ala, who was killed in his residence in Kaduna State. Lawan was speaking during a condolence visit to bereaved senator whose first son was killed by unknown gunmen at the age of 36. The Senate President also said Kaduna State has become the epicenter of banditry in the northwest, while urging security agencies to go after the killers of Abdul Karim until they are apprehended and brought to book. On his part, the senator representing Jigawa North in the 9th Assembly, Abdullahi Gumel, who was with Senator Kashim Shettima, said the Senate is saddened over the killings of their colleagues' sons and many others.
I want to take this opportunity not only condole with family, but also appeal to the security agencies to continue with the search for the culprits, those who have killed our son. Because this was not through the regular banditry act. I was told that they broke into the room. Whatever it was, apparently it was a targeted killing.
And it's full of life. God grant him give the family, the father, the mother, his immediate family, the fortitude where irreparable loss.
Meanwhile, the Kaduna State's governor also paid his condolence visit to the Na'ala's family while describing the death as tragic and unfortunate.
Most tragic and unfortunate that we lost such a bright, budding young man. I came here to commiserate and sympathize with the distinguished senator and his family. It is most tragic, it's most unfortunate that he was cut down in his spine.
You're watching the news on Galaxy TV. We're due for a break, but in the second part, IGP Usman Alkali Baba has emphasized commitment to build a strong, vibrant and modernized Nigeria Police Force. We will tell you more of the story on the other side. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. For more updates and latest news, visit our website at www.galaxytvonline.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can follow or interact with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Official Galaxy TV. If you have breaking news around you, you can avail our eyewitness feature via WhatsApp Simple Story by sending short clips or videos of the news on 0818 666 669. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live update and comment. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has emphasized his commitment to build a strong, vibrant and modernized Nigeria Police Force. He revealed this at the opening session of a 3-day training course on intensive capacity building workshop for police public relations officers across all commands and other formations of the Nigeria Police Force. According to Alkali Baba, the workshop is aimed at equipping the police officers with skills necessary for effective, analytical and strategic communications touching on criminal investigations and procedures.
Let me state that I am particularly excited about this workshop, owing to the fact that it is coming at a time when the force is implementing a new manpower development policy, which among other things focuses on improving capacity of police personnel across all ranks, in line with new policing standards and best practices. This workshop for public relations officers is timely and unique in many ways. One of these is the contextual theme of the workshop, which seeks to develop robust forensic awareness and knowledge for our spokespersons.
You've taught us to be strong enough to stand on our own, strong enough to defend ourselves, strong enough to defend our facilities, strong enough to defend our communities and people, strong enough to be stronger than our fears, our weaknesses, and our excuses. Most importantly, the IGP, you've continually taught us.
Now, the workshop with the theme, Crime Scene Management and Conclusive Criminal Investigations, the role of police spokespersons, will hold from Wednesday to Friday, 3rd September 2021. Now, recently, the federal government has been celebrating an increase in economic growth despite the country having her feet deep in inflation. Is this growth worth celebrating? Galaxy's Eribami Salako tells us.
The growth of Nigeria's gross domestic product (GDP) by over 5%, as announced by the Federation's chief statistician, is almost unbelievable, as the citizens have not felt the impact of the growth. With most boxes of economic growth indicator left unchecked, could Nigerians still celebrate this little achievement?
How can you have growth in a situation where the largest employer, major sector of the economic, which is the agriculture, has taken a bad beating because the major agric areas like the middle belt are not able to perform because the farmers have been driven off their farms by the insecurity in the country.
The 5% growth we've seen is good because growth is better than decline, but it occurred in sectors that have minimal impact on the economic well-being of the people. And secondly, you look at the base. If something has been declining, then it grows this fast. You call what you call the base effect. Base. On what is the base on which you are measuring it?
Even though Nigerians will not be feeling the impact of economic growth soon due to insecurity, corruption, and mass unemployment, what can be done to achieve a steady growing economy?
We need to be sure that we're growing on GDP and that inflation is lowering. If we bring inflation to a level that is comparative to, let's say, GDP growth, then we'll begin to see improvement in quality of life. I see in the UK, in the US, they have inflations of 1%, 0.0-something% in Japan, and that's why life can get better.
So if you reduce corruption, economy will improve, but other factors still have to be taken care of. Let me take security, for example. If the country were not as insecure as it is now, it will be easy to manage whatever side of the economy you are in.
To achieve a steady growing economy takes time. It is the hope of Nigerians that the country grow to boast of visible economic stability, corruption-free, and security of lives and properties to make the nation prosperous. Eribami Salako, Galaxy TV News, Lagos.
Now let's take you to Benue State, where Governor Samuel Ortom has vowed to take legal actions against the Special Duties and Intergovernmental Minister, Senator George Akume, following the spurious, misleading and unfounded allegations not only to him but the people of Benue State. The governor, who presided over the State Executive Council meeting, said he decided to address the press to place on record and let the world know that several allegations of killings, treachery, sellouts and falsehood orchestrated against him this past Monday by the minister calling for a state of emergency and crisis in the state. He maintained that while he will not rather be deterred by the lies perpetrated against him as he remains committed to the Benno people, he will approach the court for the minister who has the burden to prove to justify all the allegations.
Just for him to try to secure his meal ticket from his paymasters, I decided to do something that Akume will justify all those allegations that was put before me to vilify me and to give me a bad name and to hang me. Based on the position of government and the State Executive Council, that I am taking Akume to court for him to come and prove all those allegations against me.
Away from Benue State, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Oyo State has synergized with the state governments on better ways to orientate eligible Nigerians on the continuous voters registration ongoing across the country. Correspondent Kunlojo reports that the resident electoral commissioner in Oyo State, Mutu Agboke, during an advocacy visit to Governor Seyi Makinde, reaffirmed that only 20,609 persons have completed both online and physical registration since the resumption of the ongoing exercise in July.
A lot of people that need their support for election. They need the awareness, they need the understanding of the process. And that is why I felt we need to call me. I don't know as a fact that continuous voters registration is of course ongoing. But we didn't fix that we need to carry the gospel to the doorstep so that people of Oyo State can hear from you.
In his remarks, Governor Makinde appreciated the advocacy visit, declaring that the visit was timely due to the importance of the ongoing CVR. The governor also expressed concerns over the huge number of uncollected PVCs in the state, noting that the over 700 uncollected PVCs represented almost 40% of the total number of registered voters in Oyo State.
We're not afraid of the choice of the people. So having the results transmitted, from the polling unit for us is the minimum standard that we require. So we want it to be on record, and we want to say to INEC nationally that electronic transmission of results will bring in further credibility into our electoral process.
And in Ogun State, the state government has lifted the ban on dredging and mining activities with a charge that all dredgers and miners should comply strictly with agreed template and ensure responsible operations. The Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Kike Lomulonge, who dropped this hint in Abeokuta, said the decision was to lift the ban was to put safety of the host communities on the front burner. The government had earlier banned dredging and mining operations across the state due to infractions detrimental to environmental conditions in some communities, especially at Abule Oko in Magboro, Obafemi Owode local government area. Represented by the permanent secretary in the ministry, the commissioner said dredgers must operate using the identification numbers or tags, adding that the government would not permit any form of non-conformity with the directive. And also the lifting of the ban, special advisor to the governor on environment, Ola Oresoya, said the government had reached amicable agreements with relevant stakeholders to enable dredgers, miners and host communities be in unity. And now to other stories. Afenifere and Odua Youth Coalition have thrown their weight behind the signing into law of the ban on open grazing bill by the Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. The spokesman for the group, Shola Biseni, and coordinator for Odua Youth Coalition, Tayo Oluyi, in separate interviews with our correspondent, Segun Falomo in Akure, the state capital, applauded Governor Akeredolu for setting the pace for others to follow. The Afenifere spokesman expressed optimism that other southern governors will follow Akeredolu's footsteps before the month runs out. It will also be recalled that the Apex Igbo Sociocultural Group, Ohaneze Ndigbo, and the southern state legislatures have declared their support for the resolutions of the 17 southern governors on open grazing and restructuring.
And you know, I just decided to go around the country and not limit it. Reopening grazing reserves or cattle routes in Nigeria, as if the federal government has any power over land use. So when the likes of Autumn speak against it, they say it's criticizing the federal government.
I want to appreciate the brave step taken by Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, who as the chairman Southwest Governors Forum and also the chairman of the Southern Governors Meeting held in Asaba in July, where they actually agreed that September 1st will be the deadline date for all the Southern governors to sign into law.
Now let's take you to Imo State, where residents, especially those living in Owerri, the state capital, on Tuesday took a path of danger, daring all odds to scoop fuel from a fallen-laden petroleum tanker in a bid to get their daily meals. And according to residents living around control axes of Owerri Metropolis, where the incident occurred, the mishap greeted the stated at about 7:30 a.m. One of the eyewitnesses who spoke off camera told our correspondent Ajibade Awofeso that the tanker tumbled as a result of overspeeding. The driver, for reasons best known to him, did not apply the required speed while negotiating the roundabout. The vehicle eventually lost control and fell off right in front of the Azomta Cathedral Catholic Church. And now, following Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun's outcry, the federal government has expressed its commitment to immediate rehabilitation of the failed portions of Lagos-Songo-Abeokuta Federal Highway. Abiodun had lamented that the federal government has not been treating Ogun State fairly well due to the deplorable conditions of the federal government roads in the state. In a swift reaction, Works and Housing Minister Raji Fashola held a teleconference between the governor where he assured of a plan to fix the road. According to a statement by the governor's chief press secretary, Kunle Shomori, areas of immediate attention are the failed portions around Songota on the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road and the Ota Idiroko Road. The governor reassured the citizens of the state that his administration will leave no stone unturned in his commitments to build and upgrade public infrastructure across the state. The statement concluded. Barely 48 hours after civil society groups in Edo State protested to the government house in Benin City over the government's compulsory vaccination policy, another group under the aegis of Freedom Ambassadors Movement has taken to the streets of Benin, the Edo State capital, to express their displeasure, saying the COVID-19 compulsory vaccination directive of Governor Godwin Obaseki is a misplaced priority and should be reviewed. The group, led by Comrade Curtis Egbebo, displaying placards with different inscriptions, voiced their disapproval against the policy, urging the state government to direct its energy towards a better Edo State.
We are warning every authority, every forces that want to enforce this act of illegality on Nigerian citizens. We will resist it with almost sagacity. Yes! We will not allow such act of illegality to be enforced on our people, because injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. A threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
We, the civil rights organization, which is domiciled in Edo State here, are saying that the position of the governor as to the forceful vaccination, or rather the compulsory vaccination of this COVID-19 upon the citizens is a gross violation of the fundamental human rights.
Meanwhile, the enforcement of the compulsory vaccination directive by the Edo State government is expected to take effect from October 2021. You're watching the news on Galaxy TV. Let's take a moment and be back with more reports. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. 11 days after his coronation as the Olu of Warri, Ogiame Atuwase III, His Royal Highness Shola Emiko, the 21st Olu of Warri, has dissolved the Traditional Council as well as other traditional institutions in his kingdom. In a statement personally signed by the Olu, which was made available to our correspondent in Warri, it reads that the dissolution is in pursuant of the Shekiri tradition and powers bestowed on him as the Olu of Warri. The monarch stressed that committees and subcommittees are also dissolved for the information of the public and the Delta State government, noting that revitalization and confirmation of chieftaincy titles will commence from 2nd September in line with Section 25 of the Delta State Traditional Council and Chiefs Law. Now, the paramount ruler of Tiv People and chairman Benue State Council of Traditional Rulers, Professor James Ayatse, has stressed the need for the leadership of the Nigeria Police to protect traditional rulers who assist them with veritable information to arrest criminal element. Professor Ayatse disclosed this to the new Benue State Police Commissioner Tunji Akimbola, who paid him a visit at his palace in Boko in company of other senior police officers to sue for collaboration in crime fighting. The tall thief, the fifth, who expressed concerns over complaints of attacks on his chiefs by hoodlums on account of giving information to the police, said the police should evolve measures to protect them if they want traditional rulers to repose confidence in them and assist in crime fighting.
Just as we have in the traditional institution, you also have in your own command. And what to do is to see how to work and reduce this to a various minimum. Some of my traditional rulers have suffered giving information to uniform men, and that information leaking.
The Benue Police Commissioner, while commending His Royal Majesty for his fatherly role and leadership, assured that actions will be taken to prevent such situations and promised to strengthen the partnership between the police and the traditional institutions in the states, as well as look into some of the issues raised by the paramount ruler.
And that every crime must leave a trace. And for you to get to that trace, you must go local. After the situation we have in the country now, that's why we have been given marching orders to go out and continue to explore community policing concepts, which is partnership across the board.
And a resident of Warri in Warri South local government area of Delta State, who were initially reluctant to take the COVID-19 vaccines, have come out in the numbers to receive their first dose of the AstraZeneca jab at the Primary Health Center. This is coming as a result of the commencement of first and second doses of the vaccines by the state government for those who have yet not taken and others yet to complete their second doses. The residents, both young and old, were trooped out as early as 7 a.m., waited for hours as they took turns to wait for capturing and vaccination. Speaking to our correspondent, Dele Faso, after receiving their doses, some of the residents called on those yet to be vaccinated to take advantage and overcome their fears.
After being so scared myself, I saw the value of coming out to take the vaccine as a way of protecting myself, my loved ones, and the working environment I find myself. So the advice I'm going to have for them is that they should not apply fear when it comes to it. The negative information out there is making so many persons so afraid of coming out to take the vaccine.
Prevention is better than cure. So when they say take it, you take it. Most of the companies now, they want to see this. Without it, they will not employ you. So you better go and take it.
I want to let them know that the vaccine is always a sure way. So I urge everybody to come and be fully protected. So that's all I really have. Come out, don't be scared, come and take the vaccine. I've taken my own and I'm here hale and hearty.
You have to come and take the vaccine because it's free and it's for your own safety. COVID-19 is real, so you don't have to be a victim. You just have to come and take your vaccine for your own safety.
Meanwhile, some residents who are mostly civil servants now embracing the vaccines are said to be doing so over fears that their salaries may be withheld by the state government. And Kaduna State gets our attention next as the State High Court, presided over by Justice Edward Ando, has declared as nullity Section 22, Subsection 5 of the Kaduna State Electoral Law 2021 that was passed by the Kaduna State House of Assembly and assented by the governor. The law before this ruling empowered the governor to appoint an administrator to preside over the affairs of any local government in the state in the event of inconclusive elections or where it could not take place as a result of violence or other related reasons. The Counsel to the Plaintiffs, Dr. Ayodele Adewole, said the section of electoral law was declared nullity because it is inconsistent with provisions of Section 1 and Section 7, Section 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The plaintiffs, who are the Kaduna State chapter of the PDP, Felix Hassan, Hayat and Ibrahim Aliyu, expressed gladness over the court's ruling. The judgment is coming barely 5 days to the 4th September 2021 council elections in Kaduna State. You're watching the news on Galaxy TV. Let's join our international desk for more reports. Please stay with us.
Welcome to news from the international scene. A law in Texas banning abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy has taken effect as the U.S. Supreme Court did not act on an emergency request by pro-abortion rights group to block the measure. Abortion rights advocates say the law represents the most dramatic restriction since the Supreme Court's landmark Roe v. Wade decision, which legalized abortions across the country in 1973. The Texas law, which was signed by Republican Governor Greg Abbott in May after passing the state's Republican-controlled legislature, would prohibit 85% of abortions previously conducted in the state, advocates say. They have argued that women commonly do not know they are pregnant at that point when a heartbeat is first detectable. At least 12 other states have reenacted bans on abortion early in pregnancy. All have been blocked from going into effect. Planned Parenthood and other women's health providers, doctor and clergy members challenged the law in federal court in Austin in July, contending it violated the constitutional right to an abortion. The American Civil Liberties Union said the result of the law is that many Texans will be forced to carry pregnancies against their will. Texas has long had some of the nation's toughest abortion restrictions, including a sweeping law passed in 2013 requiring doctors performing abortions at clinic to have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals. The Supreme Court eventually struck down the law, saying it placed undue burdens on women seeking abortions, but not before more than half of the state's 40-plus abortion clinics closed. Legislators in Texas are also attempting to implement new restrictions on medical abortion, a method using pills, which accounts for roughly 40% of abortions in the U.S. Still with the United States, high winds are threatening to escalate the Caldo fire in California, a blaze that has already forced evacuations near Lake Tahoe and in neighboring state of Nevada. The National Weather Service warned on Wednesday that critical weather conditions through Wednesday could quicken the fire spread as it already raised across treetops and drought-stricken vegetation. The fire remained just outside of the city of Salt Lake Tahoe as firefighters attempted to stop it from spreading to the usually bustling tourist area. On Monday, 22,000 residents have been ordered to leave the area. A total of 50,000 people have since been ordered to leave their homes in California and Nevada because of the Caldo fire, with many monitoring the fire's approach from hotels and makeshift shelters. Stephen Vollmer, a fire behavior analyst for the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, told newsmen that the windy conditions have created what's called an active crown fire run, where the fire actually goes from treetop to treetop. It said embers were being cast up to 1.6 kilometers out in front of the fire, creating new ignition points, including in some parts of the dense forest that have not burned since 1940 or before. The Caldo fire had already crossed two major highways and swept down the slopes into the Tahoe Basin, where firefighters working in steep terrain were protecting remote cabins. Cal Fire Division Chief Eric Schwab said some homes burned, but it was too early to know how many. Still on the international scene, moving on to Zambia, the new president told newsmen he has inherited an empty treasury while horrifying amounts of money had been stolen. People are still trying to make last-minute movements of funds which are unauthorized, which are not theirs, President Hakainde Hichilema said. He defeated Israel Lungu in presidential elections last month. Mr. Hichilema did not name any officials. Mr. Lungu has previously denied all wrongdoing. Mr. Lungu governed the copper-rich nation since 2015. He was widely praised for the smooth transition to power to Mr. Hichilema, who won the presidency to tackle corruption and to end the financial and economic crisis that has seen Zambia's debt ballooning. In an interview with newsmen, the new president described expected and the debt situation had not been fully disclosed. He added that his government will show zero tolerance towards corruption and will get to the bottom of what he called the illicit movements of funds very soon. Mr. Hichilema has appointed economist and former International Monetary Fund advisor Situmbeko Mitsukotwane as finance minister. Unless we do something to the budget, then the budget will be mainly for paying salaries and also servicing debt. Zambian owed foreign lenders an estimate of $12 billion, previous reports said. It spent at least 30% of its revenue on interest payments, according to credit rating firm S&P Global. Last year, Zambia missed an interest repayment, making it the first African country at the start of the school year. It said American troops were present on that territory of Afghanistan for 20 years, and over those 20 years, they were trying. This can be said without offending anyone, to civilize the local people, but in fact, to impose their norms and standard of lives in the broader sense of this word, including the political organizations of society. The Russian leader has a track record of criticizing Western countries for trying to impose their value on non-Western nations, and Moscow has regularly slammed U.S. policy in Afghanistan, which is now controlled by the Taliban after its takeover. The group shocked Western leaders and observers with its rapid advance ahead of the American pullout on August 31st. Last week, Putin said Russia would not intervene. In 1989, Putin has also complained about Western countries trying to place Afghan refugees in Moscow-allied Central Asian states, fearing that radical Islam would spill over into nations it's friendly with. At the same time, Moscow has been cautiously optimistic about the new leadership in Kabul.
Welcome to Entertainment News. Actor Bishop Omo Okolegus has taken to Instagram to show off his new house in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State capital. He advised his followers on social media platforms to work hard and not allow social media pressure to drown them, as appearances is not